out of the blocks throwing out some cash, okay? Because I thought he was going to come out of the blocks raising some taxes, okay? That's the last thing we need. But anyway, we just got this information, folks, that Joe Biden is his stimulus plan, which Trump wanted to give everybody $2,000. Apparently, Biden is going to give everybody $2,000 right out of the blocks. And this could be very big for the economy to get started. We're going to find out what Colin Plume thinks about that, as well as all of the indicators that are taking place right now. Colin, welcome to the broadcast from noblegoldinvestments.com. How you doing?
I'm doing great today, and I think every president would love to come in and just start throwing money at people, especially right now. So a little bit reminds me, not to make light of it, but kind of Oprah, when she used to have her show, and she used to give out, she'd have those giveaways. You get a car, you get a car. So Biden's coming out and giving away $2,000, and so listen. At the end of the day, it's a good thing for people. It's a good thing to get people that, and it's a good amount of money too. I think it's, some of the other stimulus hasn't really been enough to really do much, and this amount feels like enough to kind of help people out, pay rent or food or whatever they need it for. And the other thing, just from an economy point of view, on face value, that $2,000 is going to get spent, which is always, that's, not to go to my underlying philosophy on the economy, but I'm going to, is that low unemployment. I think you and I always talk about this, is low unemployment is good because everyone working, that means money's getting circulated in the economy, right? When you have 8, 9, 10% unemployment, people are conservative, right? They're not going to spend as much. And obviously we saw that over Christmas time. We're seeing that with just the buying of goods is down. The problem with that is that hurts a lot of companies out there that need money circulating. That velocity of money is what they call it. And so I think it's exciting that money is going to get out there. And from that point of view, I think it's a positive. And then what are the effects of that money and all the government generosity? What are they going to be the effects down the road?
And that's the point. I think you're concerned. I think maybe I'm jumping a little quick, but we have a deficit that's $27 trillion. And I understand this is another $2 trillion that would add to that immediately by this stimulus package. So that's down the road. We got to deal with this, don't we?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think what it comes down to when you think about where you're going to invest and your philosophy, I think what it comes down to is just you have to be prepared for what we've done over the last almost 1 year. Well, with all the government generosity all over in every aspect, there is going to be an effect to that. And I think the effect is going to be that we're going to see heavy inflation. I wouldn't be surprised if we see a hyperinflation scenario. And so that's why people are diversifying out of certain assets. Now, we're still seeing the stock market very strong. I think most people are shocked that the stock market is still where it's at today, because when you look around, it doesn't feel like things are going that well. But it seems like there's like 6 companies that are really doing well, and they've been able to keep the economy going. I still, I need someone to sit me down and explain Tesla and why that's where it's at. But some of the other ones, I obviously there's companies that are going to do well. Companies like Zoom, which, that we're doing things that we're doing right now, those all make sense, because that's where the new economy is going. But still some of it, some of these companies that are really doing gangbusters, it's somewhat surprising. And I don't think it's based on true values.
Folks, Colin Plume's with us from noblegoldinvestment.com. That's www.noblegoldinvestments.com. I think, Colin, you brought out a great point that where do we go with hyperinflation? I mean, I would hate to hear that. Inflation's one thing, hyperinflation's another. But there's been from what I understand, there's going to be $6 trillion that the central bankers, quantum easing, another $6 trillion in just fiat money is going to be thrown out in the next 24 months. That's a lot of cash. You know that's going to weaken our dollar. Am I right?
Yeah, absolutely. And they've already said, the Fed has already said that they're going to keep interest rates at historic lows. So, money is cheap, and that's what people are doing is they're getting out there and they're finding investments. And we obviously help people with IRAs with gold and silver, but people also buy gold and silver and get it shipped directly to their home. And we've seen a huge surge in the last 60 days and people ask me, is it because of the instability? Is it because of the election? It maybe some, but I think people are smarter than that. They know that after January 20, democracy is going to move on. Things are going to change. And so what people are really concerned about is that they can't make any money in the bank. That's what it comes to. It's a fundamental thing. It's nothing to do with what's going to happen when this new administration comes in. I think everyone knows that this is big business. The United States is a big we're gonna go and we're gonna figure things out. But when you're making nothing in a bank account, people are looking for returns. That's what it comes down to. And gold did not hit the number that a lot of people thought it was going to hit last year. It was up 25%. I think people were expecting. It did great. Yeah, absolutely. It was a great return, but I think people thought there was more out of gold last year. But typically in a bull run in gold, you're going to see 20 to 30% returns over a 4 to 6 year period. That's typically what happens. Very rare for it to go up a percentage higher. So I wasn't surprised. Obviously it touched 2,000 a bit, then it pulled back down, but still from January 1 last year to the end of the year, we're looking at 25%. And I think that's a pretty decent return for most people.
It really is. Matter of fact, I was holding a meeting, 200 people, and we were talking about things that are changing, new administration, what have you. Folks were concerned about what does this all mean. One guy walks up to me after the meeting and says, "Hey, look, what should I do? I need some advice. I've got about $500,000 in the bank, and I don't know. Do I need to leave it there? I feel edgy." I said, "Well, look, do you want to secure it or are you trying to make money?" He said, "Well, I'd just like to secure it." I said, "Pick up the phone and call Noble." He wrote it down, Noble Gold Investment. I said, "Diversify." I'm not saying throw it all at I said, these guys will walk you through it. Put some of that in precious metals and maybe put some of the other in, he don't want to go in the stock market right now. So I'm saying, look, he just can't make no money. And he's worried that they might take his money.
Right. Well, because when you go to the banks, and I don't know the last time you went to the bank, but it raises a lot of concern. I've been at the banks. I go, wires, business stuff I have to do. I have to go at least once a week. And the lines are, I told my wife yesterday, the line for the bank was around the corner. So anytime you go to the bank and you see a line around the corner, and I've been to the bank many times over the last 6 months where that bank didn't have enough cash. Now, part of it, to be totally upfront about the whole thing, is that there's a lot of banks that are closed. So the ones that are open obviously are not going to have as much cash. And there is no big bank in the world that's going to have anywhere near enough cash for if they're getting front loaded with people looking to pull money out. And that's a lot of what's happening right now. But also just the perception of that line at the bank, it creates a lot of pause. And I think that, it's interesting. I mean, Bank of America last year, they even finally recommended gold. I think we talked about this. They believe right after the pandemic started, they said that gold's going to hit $3,000 an ounce. Now, the question is, why have banks always shied away from recommending gold? Number one, they don't sell gold, so it doesn't truly benefit them. But what happened a little over 2 years ago is that banks were allowed to buy gold as a tier 1 asset for themselves, which means it was never in that tier. It was always a tier 3 asset in the United States. Now it becoming a tier 1 asset, they can buy gold, Bank of America, and they can lend based on how much gold. It's one of their assets. It's not a liability anymore. So they have bought gold, obviously, and believe in it, and now hope that it will hit $3,000 an ounce. So now they have a little bit of a self-interest, I'd say. And I think probably the analyst that recommended it just sees kind of the writing on the wall in terms of where things are going. So, Yeah, I mean, I think it's definitely an interesting time. I think what you said is the most important thing is it's diversification, and it's also a good time to revisit what you're doing. I think if you have time now, people are doing their taxes, that's starting to happen. It's a good time to look at where you're at, what you're invested in, what your goals are, and make sure that you're doing some of the right things. And I think I can't even tell you how many friends when I said that I refinanced my house because my loan was just under 4. Now I can get it at 2.75. If you haven't done that or looked at that, you should consider that. That could be a dramatic savings. I think today I was looking at interest rates. Someone sent me something about 2.65. So, I mean, that could cut off hundreds, maybe thousands of dollars on your mortgage. So it's a good time to look at all of those things and see if there's any way you can, recalibrate, save some money, and just make sure that you're protecting yourself and your family for the future.
Folks, Colin Plume is with us. You can pick up the phone and call him right now at 877-646-5347. That's 877-646-5347. Maybe you speak to Colin or one of his associates about your life cycle, where you are in your economic portfolio, and get some advice. They will, and trust me, they are a Christian company, they're family owned, and they really care about you and your family, okay? And I can say right now, let me just show you something. We've got a little clip here to tell you more about Noble Gold. Check this out. I think this takes about a minute and a half or something. Let's see. Yes, Brock.
It's been interesting for gold investors, to say the least. After surpassing its all-time high, it's been resting in the $1,900 range before dropping in the $1,800 range, then back to $1,900. This seeming volatility is inspiring investors to ask, when is a good time to buy gold? Should I still be buying gold? Is there anything left to gain, or should I cash out? First, I would say don't panic. Pullbacks are common. In fact, they're expected. It's true in every investment you're going to make. There's no single investment that will constantly be bullish. That being said, the price shifts of gold in the last several years are by no means wild. In fact, now, in my opinion, is a really good time to buy gold because all of the economic factors lead us to believe buying gold is a good opportunity. And I can't honestly think of anything more perfect right now than a gold investment. And there's two general reasons that it's a good time to buy gold. One, gold's rising potential industry is one of the reasons that people should invest right now. There's an increase in demand for communication devices, phones, data servers, computers, medical research, aerospace. Obviously, we've talked about curing cancer. There's some research going there. All these are heavy users of gold. Second is just the global political economic situation, social instability. We have an election coming up. We have fundamental concerns regarding the US dollar. We're still fighting everything going on with COVID and whether we're going to reopen or not. And then the biggest thing, in my opinion, is just the unprecedented amount of stimulus, the low interest rates. It's the perfect opportunity for gold. There's other factors there too. People see gold dipping in the 1800, they may get nervous. And a lot of people were saying when it hit 1800 that gold's just a novelty and that it's not here to stay. But a lot of people, a lot of long-term investors believe that hitting 1800 it creates a buying opportunity. And I think that if you're a long-term investor, that's something that you should consider. Obviously, weigh your risks, be conservative, but I do think there's going to be some buying opportunities in the gold market over the next 12 to 18 months.
Are you just getting into metals and you want to learn more? Check out our gold and silver investment guide. It has all the information you need, all the questions answered, and a really good read for someone just starting out. If you want to learn about investing in gold and silver, click the link below.
Wow. I mean, like I said, guys, Noble Gold Investments really is looking after you for you, and they want to make sure that your family's protected. And, we've been in a volatile time. But somehow, under the Trump economy, Colin, it's been wonderful. I mean, 31,000 stock market. Bitcoin is at 39,500. $2,500. It was $33,000 2 days ago. I did an interview. Gold, like you said, over $18.50. Silver's over $25. So, and I just saw a report that foreclosures of home are at a 16-year low. So maybe President Biden, when he comes in, maybe she should just stay in the basement and don't touch it.
I will tell you, I think I have, Noble Gold, we deal with hedge fund. I have hedge fund managers that buy gold from us. I have stockbrokers, lots of stockbrokers, lots. I mean, you would be shocked. And, it's funny because they don't obviously recommend gold, but they buy gold, and it's fine. Everybody's got to make a living, and I respect that. But the one thing, I've had the same conversation about what they think is going to happen with the economy, and they said they hope that just nothing happens. Right? That's the less is more. And so their belief, and it may be founded or unfounded, maybe they're drinking the Kool-Aid, is that there won't be much happening, right? And that will hopefully be good for the economy. It's time will only tell. I hope that's the case. I always agree less is more. We had the tax cuts a few years ago. Let's keep those going. I can't imagine we're going to raise taxes. Those are things that would not be good for growth. But I do think the new economy, the new U.S. economy, working from home, is going to have an effect that is going to have a negative effect by the end of this year, because there's a lot of landlords out there that literally can't pay their rent. If we're talking landlords that own millions of square feet of office space, that's never going to go back. So those owners are in trouble. There's no doubt about it. And so who's going to, what's the trickle down effect of them? It goes to the banks, and then what happens? You have all this empty square footage.
All the little restaurants and little business for lunch, where the people, these big skyscrapers, they come down and have lunch.
Sure.
Well, now that's a ghost town.
Yeah, the cleaning crews, the window washers. I mean, the list goes on. And so there is going to be a dramatic turnaround there for those things. And then, I've read some articles about, some corporations are saying, well, if you don't have to come into work, maybe I don't pay you as much, because you're not coming in here, you're staying at home. It's a convenience to you, which, that argument is out there. I'm sure that there's big businesses that are starting to think about that. From our experience with Noble Gold, our productivity has gone up. Our team is just, especially, right now, there is literally a crew helping people with paperwork 7 days a week with Noble Gold. So, for us, working from home has been good, and people have been happy and everything's worked out. But there are corporations right now that are thinking about ways to cut expenses and, maybe reducing pay, which, for a lot of the country is not going to be a good thing in the long run. So there's still stuff that needs to be fixed. There's still, there's going to be a lot of people that are going to starting businesses this year because they're forced into it. And hopefully that'll be a good thing for them. I think more people are going to be, branching out, creating their own channels, creating products, but those things, that infrastructure, that change of mentality is not going to happen overnight. And so I think that's the thing that we have to brace for. Will we see a 2008 collapse this year of the stock market? I don't know, but we are at a very high point, and a lot of people are concerned of a potential sell-off. And the good thing about a potential sell-off in the stock market, and this has been proven, this isn't just me, is that they're usually very quick, right? They're usually 6 months, 8 months, 10 months, max 12. The pullback is quick. And then the recovery, then it starts to ramp back up. So if you're diversified properly, you don't need the money right then. You could probably withstand it. But it's important to keep in mind that if you're going to be retiring soon and you don't know when, or you might need that money, that you have to be diversified. You don't want to have, you don't have all your eggs in gold and silver either. You want to be diversified in a lot of different things, and investments that seemed sound before, like real estate, right now don't really seem as sound.
Right.
I've had a lot of conversations with owners that are very nervous about, they're just making deals with the banks, and the banks are being okay, but eventually the banks are going to say, no, you got to come and you got to pay this mortgage. And so we'll see what happens when that happens. So it's definitely an interesting time. And I think the most important thing is to look at all of your options and be informed more than anything.
Folks, this is noblegoldinvestments.com. Colin Plume's with us. Call him on the phone, 877-646-5347. That's 877-646-5347. Get some good advice. Get some balance. I would say this, that a young man might have 75% of his money in the stock market and 25% in gold or silver.
I think the younger you are, the more volatility you can withstand. I mean, absolutely. There's no doubt about it.
At my age, you probably should have 75% of it in precious metals.
Well, the percentage is for everybody, right? It's going to be different, and everyone's situation is going to be different. I think more importantly than anything is really just looking at your specific situation. And we're not financial advisors. We give information about gold and silver, but what I'll tell you right now, just to kind of transition into one of the things I want to talk about is silver, right? Biden, this new administration, they are going to be pushing a green energy, climate change agenda.
Solar panels.
And solar panels are going to be key. There is just not anything else that can do what silver does for energy efficient industries. Solar panels, energy efficient vehicles, data centers. Right now the big thing is in Africa, they're opening up all these data centers to hold all this data that we're working on, because people, and the reason is there's more. People are saying, well, why? We always needed data, but you need more now because your employees are not in one location. When you had all your employees in one location, you keep the data there. Now everyone's all across everywhere. So you have to have data that's stored off-site in different places, and they're opening tons of locations in a number of countries in Africa, and they need silver for those components. So silver is really going to be exciting this year, and I typically don't like to do predictions, but I would be remiss if I didn't believe, and I do believe that I do think silver will break 40 this year. I think it's going to be. I think we're going to see a big rush, and I'll tell you, the mints and the big coin makers, they're bracing for that too. I've had numbers of conversations, and they are getting ready for a silver surge. We've already seen it in the U.S. Silver Eagle, but they're expecting it across the board. So I think people should be ready for that.
And speaking of silver, if you qualify for a gold or silver IRA, Colin's going to give you 5 ounces of silver. Look at this commemorative coin. This is the Apollo 11 moon landing commemorative coin. Comes in this beautiful case. Colin, you're going to give this away? I mean, this is 5 ounces of silver, but this is beautiful.
I don't want to do it, but I feel like I have to do it because I said I was going to do it. I love this coin. It's a proof coin. It's never been touched by human hands. The other side of that coin, I don't know if you've taken it out, Pastor Paul, but the other side is even more interesting. It's got the foot on the moon landing. And that side is even more incredible. The detailing of this coin, I love it. I had one set aside for my 3 kids, and I literally recently just set aside 2, and for each of my, because I think it's such an interesting coin. $300 value right now minimum, and I think, my opinion, they made about 82,000 of those. It's a proof coin. I think those coins are $1,500, $2,000 in the next 5 to 10 years. I think that's going to be a really top selling coin. And they made a limited amount of them, which is really great. So
you're giving these away to people who set up an IRA.
Absolutely.
Can people also contact you and purchase any of these?
That, but I'm going to be fair. I don't have that many because I promise it for people for IRAs. So I don't have that many coins. To get you an idea, perspective on the limit, because people might say, 82,000, that's a lot. They make 37 million silver eagles per year. So 82,000 of a US minted coin is not that much. It's It's a pretty small mintage. So I think it's a pretty exciting coin. Even some of the coins that people think are rare, some Morgan dollar coins they haven't made millions. So that coin has a limited supply. And so I think it's exciting.
It's going to go up. Value has to go up. And Colin, you talk about if you had to predict what area, stock market, gold, silver, or Bitcoin, which has the most possible growth? I think gold and silver does, and silver probably number one. I mean, I think. Yeah, I mean,
I think that I do. Personally, I believe in all of those. Frankly, I do exactly what I tell. I'm diversified in all those things. So I don't disparage on anything. My wife, before she left her job last year because of COVID and just the craziness that happened, she had a 401k and we put money as much as we could and we maxed that thing out as much as we could. And she's got money there. And then we got gold and silver, obviously. And, I'm trying not to get too crazy with gold and silver because I'm in the business, but it's hard not to because I love coins. I love holding. I just bought another St. God in 1907 that I just love. I'll show it to you next time we're on the show. I mean, I'm infatuated with coins, so it's hard for me not to go there. But I own Bitcoin too. I own Ethereum, and so I believe in that stuff too. So it's all about having a balance, Pastor Paul. It truly is.
And folks, when you think about your life, and we're talking here about your portfolio and your finances, but you got to have balance in your life as well. I mean, absolutely. Food we eat, the exercise. I mean, our faith. We got to have total balance in life, and so I think if you apply that principle to your finances, live within your means, but at the same time, also look for opportunities that could make a difference. You got to have that balance.
Yeah, right? I'll tell you right now, Pastor Bell, the conversation I've been having with my staff, and it's a simple thing, but just getting outside once or twice a day. Literally, I made it literally mandatory that everybody takes off their headset and gets outside of their house. Now, I'm not at everyone's house, so I can't guarantee that they do it. Right. I don't have a camera at their house, even though I want to make sure. But I mean, they laugh at me because they think I'm like their, fitness coach. But I know getting outside, getting some vitamin D on your face, that is essential. Because who cares if you're working and you can't see it, you can't enjoy it. You gotta do it, and you're 100% right. And I know you've taken a lot of steps for yourself, and you are practicing what you preach, and that's really the most important thing is having balance. And you want to be around every day. You can be around for your loved ones and do what you're doing and do your love is important. But the only way to do it is you got to focus on taking care of yourself and your life. It's 100% true.
Amen. Amen. Yeah. You're preaching to the choir, brother. Amen. And your body is the temple of the Holy Spirit, folks. So obviously God wants you to take care of it as well as take care of the future for your family. And so some things to look at here, noblegoldinvestment.com. All right. Well, they're going to be, hey, Colin, they're going to be handing out these stimulus checks. Biden. Now, I do feel bad for President Trump because he wanted this 2,000. Yeah. And they drug their feet and they fought him and they wouldn't do it. And then Biden comes out of the blocks is going to do it. Okay, so, but the bottom line is at least the people are going to get the money. And at the same time, as long as we don't start cutting or start raising taxes and really start squashing, because as you said, we don't know what's around the corner. We don't know what 2021 with the virus is going to bring. Are they going to? Is it going to be worse? This new UK strain. I mean, what's your thoughts on that?
It's so hard to know what's going to happen because you read about these strains being able to mutate and move and obviously there's not enough people in the whole world getting vaccinated and at this time. So I just hope that we're able to move this vaccinations. I hope that these two companies are able to pump out as much of this vaccine as possible and hopefully in the summer, we people get out and get back to somewhat normal. That's what I'm hoping for. And But you can't, you know what it is? You can't focus on those things. If that strain is going to do what it's going to do, there's nothing we can do anyway. So we got to just focus on what we can control.
Well, Colin, thanks for being with us today. I think we got some great information here today. Hope it encourages all of you out there and gives you some options, all right? So we're going to conclude this broadcast. And Colin, I want to thank you for being with us today. And may the Lord really bless you. Hope you have a great year. Hope your business does well.
Thank you. God bless you too, Pastor. God bless.
I will leave you folks with this. Let's take another look at what makes Noble Gold Investments makes it special. Check this out. God bless.
February 5th and 6th, 2021, a webinar you can't miss. It's going to talk about the virus, the vaccines, the victims, and the victory as we bring in scientists and biblical scholars to unearth the vulnerabilities of the population and verifiable evidence of what's taking place. You need to know what's going to happen. Don't miss it.